working. For some reason, it crashed. So this is my first time that I wanted to try streaming all day because every time that I stream, it crashes like around like an hour and a half to 2 hours in, and that really sucks because like I share like the link to the stream, like for example on Facebook where I share the stream, like um, it's a new link whenever you restart. So like that other link is like outdated now. So I don't know. It's just annoying, but I'm still starting out. I shouldn't fret about all that stuff. I'm just trying to figure out like the reason why I'm hesitating doing the stream all like every day all day is because like I'm trying to get it just to like not crash because otherwise if it keeps crashing then I can't really do long streams. But we'll see how it works now. Um, so I might just kind of I'm gonna have to like update the social media stuff real fast. May I ask a question? The True Elect says, is it possible to make a demo of a game and then pitch it to a bigger company so that a team can work on it? I would say probably not. Um, but what you could do is make a demo of a game and then put it out for the world to see, and then you can get traction that way. um, but if you can get like the trick is like you got to get into the door of one of these companies, and then no matter what you're doing in that company, you could probably end up having an impact and learning, and then eventually getting to a position where you can like implement the ideas kind of. I think it depends on what kind of games you're talking about too. Like there's a lot. I don't know. It depends on the size of the company. If you go to a smaller company, you could probably have an impact like that more quickly. If you go to a large company, which is where most of the jobs are, like the idea is, I don't know. There's not very many people that like I don't know have that much like uh, power in that kind of situation. 3D action games like Zelda, maybe I'd like to make games like that. Cool. I used to like want to make games like that too. I've been focused on 2D games for so long, but totally makes sense that you're interested in that kind of game. What's your like, what's your favorite Zelda game? So I know like your kind of like design preference. Like, cause to me, I like Twilight Princess. That was like my favorite Zelda game. Like I'm guessing you probably like you're was Ocarina of, most people are like really into Ocarina of Time. That's like the game that like set them on the course. A lot of people I know were really inspired by that game. I'm just gonna take out the bottom layer and let's just see what happens. So that's gonna, let's see. I have to remember where everything is. So let's like go to where the bottom UI layer is created. My favorite is Wind Waker. Interesting, but I'm hoping for something around that area, but no vast ocean sailing. Nice. LOL. That's cool. Like you could definitely get there. Like my biggest like for people interested in like because if you're interested in implementing ideas, that to me that means you're interested in like becoming a game designer. So I think to me that's more about ideas, and then there's obviously like the skills of like balancing things or whatever. But to me, like I consider games. Is it okay to make a game 3D game as my first game to be made? Yeah, I think Unity and tools like that make it totally a lot easier. Um, so you could definitely do that. I think. Uh, I would recommend. There's tools like Dreams. Have you ever heard? Do you have a PlayStation? Because you could get a game called Dreams. Obviously something small. Like you can definitely start making 3D games. It'd take a while to get to like a level where you're making good 3D games. You know, so that's why it's good to making 3D games. 3D is fun. That's all I do nowadays. Totally. And if you have like some experience, like you can make good 3D games. But I think if you're just starting out, like it would take a while to get to a point where you're like I would say do it. Like making 3D games is awesome, and you should start learning those skills. But also on the side, you should be learning like game design stuff, because if you want to work on like Zelda like games, like I'm guessing you most likely want to be in the industry, like or you could kind of do some spin on your own, like just pursue 3D game development. Like you're saying, you can. Mattman says you can also buy some 3D assets as needed. That's a good point. Like You can even like eventually like work with some other people, like, or like you can like find people that kind of make the kind of games that you're interested in, and you can kind of collaborate. One sec, making food. BRB. I had pizza for lunch. So this is where I have the bottom UI layer. Yeah, I just think like, hold please. I'm so sorry. I don't want to burn. I'm so sorry. It's all good. uh, this is where I have the bottom UI layer. Let's just comment that out, and let's just follow the chain of freaking errors that we get. It's gonna cause a lot of pain. Oh, yeah. So I'm gonna have to like delete all instances of bottom UI layer. So I'm doing this on a different computer. So, like normally you'd have like some kind of like file kind of system. What you're working on now, I left for a bit. Yeah, so I've decided to do what you suggested, and I'm going to be implementing a home screen. So let me show the game real fast. So I was mulling it over while I was eating pizza, and I think I like that you can get into the level right away for the reasons I described. So I'm gonna have this screen. I'm gonna remove all these icons. I'm gonna remove the bottom UI layer. It's gonna be a lot less cluttered because that was a really great suggestion you guys had about the UI. And so it's just gonna be the world gameplay, and there's gonna be a button that takes you back to the home screen. So it's gonna work like Legend of Soulguard. So this is like their home screen right here. They have like this is the campaign at the top. So I'm gonna have like the big buttons at the top that say, one's gonna say campaign and one's gonna say level editor, and then beneath that there's gonna be buttons for like the events and or your current task or whatever it is. So I'm gonna have like all of this in like a home screen, and so that way it'll be a lot less cluttered. And it's what it's gonna do, I think, which makes a lot of sense, is it's gonna make all of these like, it's gonna tell you the importance of these different UI tabs. So right now in the game, the tabs are the level folder, which is the folder system. That takes up one whole fifth of the UI, just as much as the main game campaign and the whole level editor. So I think it makes sense to have like a home screen where I can display these different features. Because right now, actually, I've noticed that in people who are playing the game, not many of them use these other features because they don't seem important. They're never like, they're suggested occasionally, but not really. Like, so I think by having the gameplay, you play your moves when you first log in, and then it goes back to the home screen. It's gonna look good. This looks like a nice mobile game. Thank you so much. I appreciate the positive feedback. So I hope it's gonna look a lot better once we make this home screen. So that's what I'm starting to work on. Is I'm gonna take out this bottom UI layer first, and that'll kind of show me, that'll remind me as I go through it where everything is, kind of where all of these like objects are created and which files, etc. So I'm gonna take out the bottom layer, and I'm going to put in a button that says home, and I'm gonna take out all this sides crap, and then after that we're gonna implement the home screen, and I'm gonna work on it as much as I can until 5. And I don't know, I'm thinking I might not go live again because I'm streaming Tuesday through Friday. Maybe I'll do it again tomorrow, actually. I don't know. That might be fun. So what I'm doing is going and looking for the bottom UI layer instances. So it's created in this file called main container layer. But yes, it sounds like my dream will never be realized to make a game as huge as Zelda, considering I'm old and noob. I wouldn't say so. The tools are getting more powerful. There's a lot of people who, I think you can achieve that on some scale. I feel like long games are a little overrated. I think you could achieve something even cooler if you made like a more, what if there was a more minimized Zelda kind of game in a certain way, you know? Or also, I was wondering if the True Elect had ever heard of a game called Dreams on PlayStation, because that allows you to make 3D games without even knowing how to code, and you can like make crazy things. So never. You should check out, especially if you have a PlayStation, you should buy Dreams, because it allows you to make every aspect of games, like the texturing, like the art stuff, the game design stuff, the modeling stuff, and like you could really like figure out what you're into, and you can like make little prototypes for once you get good enough at making 3D games using Unity or whatever. Like this Dreams will train your like prototyping design skills and allow you to test things. Like someone made a really cool 3D game. Let me show you really fast. I'm really into Dreams because Dreams is related to Emoji Pop because Dreams is a creative game. It allows you to make 3D games. I allow you to make like 2D puzzles, so it's a lot more simple. But I think they share a similar genre. It puts players into the position of someone who makes things, not someone who's trying to solve problems. So this is a video of a game someone made in Dreams. So it starts off with a cinematic, and this didn't take very long. I've spoken to this person on Twitter a good amount. It was like one person who made most of it, one or two people, and they made this cute little dinosaur, and they made this cool little cinematic introduction, just using the in-game features like setting up the movements of the camera and stuff without any coding. And so the dinosaur has all these moves, and this is free to play if you have Dreams on the PlayStation. And so it's kind of like this little like 5 minutes, like how much damage can you kind of do. So you can like all these like objects have like these different animations and context to them. You can destroy things. And then sometimes something I think is really unique, it zooms out to this camera and it shows it as if it's like a live news broadcast, but this is the player like actually destroying stuff. I saw they made all of this with Dreams. Yeah, so they made this game totally in Dreams, no programming involved. And so I think it would take you a long time to be able to make this like in Unity if you don't know how to program. So I think I try to recommend to as many people as possible to play Dreams if you like want to get into game design, because we need other tools to train our game design besides coding, you know? Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like it's pretty polished. Like there's maybe some like little bugs here and there, but it's pretty well thought out design, you know? And they were like, they could just quickly prototype this because in Dreams, like you just put stuff. Oh, I'm gonna put a monster in here. Oh, it does this. Let me change the moves. It's like you're just like live making game without all of like the annoying coding stuff getting in the way. So that's why people interested in game design, I always recommend play Dreams because that will teach you 3D game design. And you still learn Unity and learn how to code games so you can make money in the future or whatever. But once you are able to make games like this, you're going to have all this design experience making all these creations. And I recommend to a younger audience or to someone just starting out in game design in general, especially my game Emoji Pop, because I want to train your just basic game design. Like I talk about like really specific practical level design skills, but also just bigger game design concepts. To make a game like Zelda Wind Waker, which is better, Unreal or Unity? I think they're the same. I think Unity is more popular. Unity has a visual scripting tool. Cool. So yeah, I think probably Unity, like Mattman says, because like I think that's just more popular, more features. I actually don't know myself. Mattman probably knows more than me. Thank you, Matt. Yeah. So I just wanted to show you that like this is a game you wouldn't see made from a corporate developer using Unity or whatever, like because it's so against like game design norms because they're not trying to like make money. They're just making these. They're exploring these crazy 3D design spaces. So yeah, I'm gonna be. Feel free to keep interrupting me. It's all good. I love talking about this game design stuff. I am a Unity fan, although some people love Unreal. Yeah, I don't really know people myself that love Unreal, but I know they exist. I'm using Cocos because I think that Unity stuff kind of annoys me, like having to like have this whole UI system. I like just pure coding, so Cocos is just all JavaScript. Cocos 2D.js at least, but it's a little outdated. A Hat in Time was made with Unreal. Oh yeah, cool, interesting. I heard of that. But yeah, so I Unity like. It's also made for 3D games, and I make 2D games often, so like everything has a Z coordinates, for example, and there's all this stuff I don't need, and the UI stuff I think is annoying, and having everything kind of separated is annoying, like in code. like, because this is for me, this is the engine. It's just all code, and so I can kind of just do whatever I think is right. And so I like it for that reason. It's not, it's all integrated in the way that I like, and it's not like all separated with all this UI stuff here and coding over here and different stuff. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's also probably because I'm lazy. But I want to learn that stuff more because it looks so powerful. The stuff people make with Unity. Do I need a degree to get into game dev industry or a job as a game dev? I got a degree. I went to the UC Santa Cruz and got a degree in game design. I don't think you need to. I think it helps, obviously, but I feel like if you worked really hard, you could end up getting a job as like a level designer or something, or like some kind of entry job somewhere. If you have stuff to show that you make and you like, if you're really passionate and you really learn everything, I feel like you can do it. But like maybe a lot, it's obvious, it's an obvious advantage to have that degree because people will kind of just, that doesn't get you a job, but it like gets you the interview or whatever you would say. Build a good portfolio and degrees don't matter. Good advice, Matt Man. So I commented out the bottom UI layer. I like having this conversation to make the annoying coding stuff less annoying. Okay, so that's where I add it. This is a place where I move it. I'll have to do this a bunch. Okay, that's already commented. Commented. So this is where, this is the on-up event in the main container layer. So this is where someone releases the mouse and then this function runs. And so what I'm doing is location and node is I'm getting the position that is tapped in the bottom UI layer. Problem is there's not going to be a bottom UI layer, so this would break my game because it's referring to the bottom UI layer right here. So I'm going to comment that out. And okay, let me look at this. So if this is pop-up, so this is pop-up is a function that says whether or not there's a pop-up right now. So if there's not a pop-up, is what this is saying, then check if it's in the bottom UI layer, if the click is in. So all of this is if the bottom UI layer is touched, and these are the different buttons that change the different tabs. I think this is it. Let me just make sure this is the right if. Yeah. So I'm going to comment all that out. And for those just checking in, I'm changing the whole UI of my game based on feedback. And I'm going to kind of separate it into two different screens basically. And so this is an else if, it should just be an if now because I got rid of the first if. So if the touch is in the top layer, then do whatever the top layer does when you touch it. I'm curious if the person who wanted to make True Elect, if like the Zelda games, like, do you have any like inclination as to what would make your Zelda game unique, or what kind of direction you want Zelda to go, or what you think those kind of games, what you think you could bring to the table, or anything like that, or any ideas? Inner content. Okay, so just going through the different stuff, I don't need to worry about that. But this is a problem. Actually, I don't think I thought location and node was used. I don't think it's used after the first one. So I think that's all the bottom UI. That's all the references to the bottom UI layer there. Okay, so it's referenced here. It's Atra is a function that moves it to this position, the bottom UI layer, and it draws it here. I think I can just comment that out. I don't even know when this is being done. Doesn't matter. Yeah, so like this is like when you're in a level, the bottom UI layer disappears, and so this is where it's adding the bottom UI layer back in, but we don't want to add it back in because it no longer exists. Oops. So yeah, these are how you do comments in JavaScript, slash and a star asterisk star thing. So this selects a button on the UI layer. another button is selected. This is just a comment, but it refers to the bottom UI layer. Okay, add meta tutorial. So this is a function that's called when you're like out of moves and I want to point an arrow to like something on the bottom UI layer. So I think I just need to get rid of this functionality because I should not be pointing to something that doesn't exist. So this is where I create. This is how you create an object. You say like, you say, okay, this meta tutorial, this is a sprite. This is the CC is like what holds all of like the Cocos definitions. It's a sprite, and it's the arrow sprite that I saved somewhere else, that I defined somewhere else. You set its scale. You Atra, remember, sets the position. So we set its position. So it's everything you would do with Unity, but it's done with code instead of like buttons and stuff. Set flipped. So I wanted to point it down because it's initially up. And then add child adds it to the scene. Well, my day has come to an end. 5:38 here. Going to have a beer and eat dinner. That's what I'm going to be doing at 5:38 as well. Peace out. Best of luck, man. Thanks so much, Matt, man. You've been really awesome in the chat. I'm going to be working on your idea for the rest of the weekend. Thank you so much for watching and being so awesome in the chat. It's awesome having you as a follower. Hope you have a good weekend. Hope to see you again soon. My mouse is way too powerful. Okay. And so this is where you stay focused. You got this. I needed that. Thank you. I do got this. This meta tutorial arrow run action. So I'm taking this object that I created and I'm gonna do something to it. So this run action is, it's gonna repeat something forever. What is that thing? It's gonna repeat the sequence forever. This sequence moves the arrow up and down. So this is what makes the arrow go up and down. So I'm just kind of showing you like this is kind of what coding in this engine's like. Just, I know you don't need to see this stuff, but I just wanted to show you like this is kind of what we're dealing with. So I'm just gonna comment all that out. This function can still be called. That's fine. Maybe I'll change it later. Yeah, so you probably couldn't see too well, so I'm gonna be zooming in and out of the code just in case anyone's curious about that. Reload bottom UI. Bottom layer. I don't know what that even. Oh, that's a different bottom UI. So I'm normally you would like, oh, reload bottom UI, would comment that out, but I don't want to like go through and find every time that's called. Maybe it's called in different like places. So I'm just gonna comment out the stuff inside of it. It doesn't really hurt me that an empty function's called. That doesn't really like matter, I don't think. Hide bottom UI layer. You're not gonna need to do that because it doesn't exist. Show bottom UI layer. Definitely not. Yeah, so this is just we have to do some rigorous, annoying programming stuff just to make sure we get rid of all the references to bottom UI layer that we're getting rid of, which I think totally makes sense. Run move token. So this moves. Reward world move. Bottom UI layer dot height. So I'm just gonna change this to 0. This is something that rewards. It rewards a move and it wants it going down into your like UI layer. But I'm just gonna have it go down to the bottom by changing that to 0. Commented out already. Okay, so when someone wants to win a challenge, when the stars hit, you can play a challenge. So this is when a level is being loaded basically to be played. So with this UI layer, it's running an action that's defined here where it basically disappears. So I don't need to do that. Remove bottom UI layer. Isn't there another function with that same name already? Oops. Okay, we're like 3/4 down the page. Update avatar. We don't need to do that. Yeah, so I'm working on two computers. I think one computer is gonna be like the one I use to like update the game. Like it's basically like if you use GitHub, one Git is gonna be like the main game, and this Git's gonna be like some crazy changes I'm making that I don't want to merge over. So I'm always gonna have like an experimental thing I'm doing and like the constant updates. I update the game every Monday. Also, I should have all the chats open. Yeah, I do. I update the game every Monday, so every Monday there's a new feature to play in the game. I commented that out. Don't need to update streak. So that changes the color of the bottom layer. You can go on streaks and that's reflected in the color of the UI. Don't need to do that. I think I'm at the top now. Okay, so I got rid of all the bottom UI layers referenced in the main container, which is where most of them will be from. I could see having like files in there that need to know where the bottom UI layer is, so they're gonna ask this and get back, and they're gonna reference it in other ways. So we'll just have to see when bugs emerge. We'll see, oh, that's a bug because it's referencing bottom UI layer. We can fix that then. So let me just run the game and we'll see what the heck happens. I have no idea. It should just be gone. I'm guessing everything will be... I'm wondering if everything's going to shift down or if it's going to be the same. I'm not really sure. I wasn't really paying attention. And if you're new to the stream, my name's Dylan and I'm a game developer working on this mobile puzzle game. It's a community-focused puzzle game. And cool, so we got rid of the bottom UI layer, as you see. That's gone. We'll have to spend some time shifting everything down. I think there's like a variable called bottom UI height that everything is being added onto. And once we shift everything down, we'll also be able to see more of the world in the screen, which is going to be great because screens are different sizes. For example, the iPads, it's so wide that there's not many rows available, so I want the puzzle to be as big as possible, and so by getting rid of the bottom UI layer, that's another advantage. I don't want to share much about the idea, but hopefully it won't feel like it too much either. Cool, makes sense you want to keep that private. That's probably smart. Hopefully it won't feel like it too much either. Gotcha, so you want to be a little different. I think there's a lot of space to explore in those games, so yeah, I think that'd be cool to do that. You can even just start designing it now. Like I'm guessing you are a little bit in your head at least, but when I was young, I used to always like write stuff down and like design games on paper because I couldn't design them elsewhere. I don't do that anymore because now I can code and stuff like that. But like I don't know, it might be cool. Like people usually like make board games or things. I don't know. You can do like visualization. I don't know. You just do like it's fun. I don't know. It's fun to like imagine you at least have the ability to make the game, and then just what would you do? You know, like that's like a good thought experiment to be doing right now. I guess I think that would be like a useful use of time. That's what I used to do at least before I like was able to make some of these things. So I'm trying to think. Do I move everything down now? I might remove. No, I need to remove everything. God, this is such a huge change. It's so funny I'm doing this, but I think it makes sense. So let's get rid of these UI things. So these little event things that pop up stuff, I'm just gonna hide them just with comments for now. And they are in the gameplay layer. So we were editing the main container layer, which contains the whole thing. And so the gameplay layer is what we see right now, but there was a bottom UI layer where we would change screens, but that's gone. But this screen is the gameplay layer that's within the main container layer that holds different screens. So we're going to go to gameplay layer, which I have open right here. And we have to find where these badges are created. I forget exactly what they're called. Should be somewhere at the top. Yeah, let me know if you ever play Dreams, though. I'd be curious what you think of it. I'm always curious what people's experiences with that. I'm trying to log out of this thing on my phone real fast. I saw there's some funny memes of the first lady wearing a green dress that people are green screening stuff onto. I was thinking about like doing it with for emoji pop, like putting smiley faces on or something. Just as a fun meme thing for the game. Marlin 81. Ooh. Wow. Crazy. I'm hoping I can figure out how to make my stream go without crashing like it did earlier. So it crashed half an hour ago. Like, I have no idea why. I keep trying different things. Oh, hey, we got 4 more hearts on Periscope, baby. Let me log back in there so I can see comments on there again. Cool, I got all the comments stuff open. We're back to coding. So, I'm looking for the badge. It's the bubble layer. Oh, is it in the bubble layer? Oh, no, it can't be. Yeah, so I'm like, I see I'm making some badges here, but those aren't the real badges. So this is where I create the bubble layer. This is like, the bubble layer contains like the main gameplay basically of the game. Like how the bubbles move and how everything is held and everything. Depending on whether you're at the end of the world or not, there's different like ways to create it, so that's what's happening there. Can't imagine I have the badge definitions this low. So I actually haven't coded in a while in this game, for a few weeks because I had to take a break. Okay, so it's the event badge layers. Here's where they are. So here's me creating one. So I'm just going to comment this whole thing out. This is saying like, okay, if it's telling me to make a badge 1, then I make a badge 1. Ugh. And so these long comments, I can't have comments within comments. I think that was right. So I'm just going to delete where all these meta badges are created, and then we're going to have to delete references to them. But this is all in the process of... This is all in the process of updating the UI so that we include a home screen. Because the UI is probably the biggest feedback I've gotten is that they don't like it, and I think I can actually improve the game a lot now by fixing it in the way like Batman and others were suggesting. Okay, so why didn't that comment out? Because when you do this, actually, I'll just lower this. Okay. This is where the last one's created separately. Yeah, so eventually there's going to be like a Patreon for the game if I can get people interested in the game, and the money will go into like, you'll get stuff in the game actually for being a Patreon subscriber. But that's like way down the road. I want to just make the best free game I can for now, for a long time probably. But I think it'd be cool to integrate that into the game. So I deleted the meta badges. So I need to find the references to them. So this is where I add them, I guess, in a different way. So I'm just going to delete this whole function or comment it out for now. And if I do all this and I mess up the game really badly in some way, I can always just undo it all and try something else. This is where the input happens. So it's saying, oh, did the player touch meta badge A? Did they touch meta badge B? Whoa, a lot going on in there. I'm gonna comment this stuff out. Interesting. I can't because there's all this garbage in there. Oh my god, I need this stuff. I'll just comment this out like this. Feel free to ask me about anything game design related or whatever. Because, yeah, there's going to be... Since I'm going to be coding online all day, every day, like... There's going to be, like, periods where I'm doing some kind of annoying stuff that won't be as fun to watch. But, we can always... Like, I'm getting a capture card, so I want to have, like, a game open that we can always play if I'm, like, coding for too long or whatever, you know? I need to comment this last bracket. Yeah, I know I'm in it for the long haul, so it's all good. So this is another place where we're like doing something with the badges. We're like moving them or something. I don't know why. Oh yeah, because sometimes when you shoot, we move the badges out of the way and then we have to move them back into place again. I'm just checking the chats once in a while. We are good. Do 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 do. Meta badge. We're gonna comment these out. This is like what stops their movement suddenly if we need to. Oops. And same thing here, reverse. Oh wait. I caught that. Didn't want to comment that out. Oh yeah, so it's commenting these out. Find another instance of meta badge. Oh, is that it? I think it might be. Yeah. Cool. So we got rid of all the meta badges. I feel like they might be referenced elsewhere. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe not. If we're successful, they'll be gone. How is it being a coder for a game company? Is it boring? So I've never been like, I don't know. I've never really been just a game coder. I usually am a game designer who ends up coding a ton, and then I'm kind of in the middle of both of them. I I don't know if it's boring or not. I guess so I'm just gonna say I can't really answer that question because like, yeah, I don't know. And also I've been working for mobile puzzle games, so like that's a way different kind of coding. I imagine it's kind of exciting because they're doing like if you worked at like a Naughty Dog or something like that, you're like going really deep into like 3D game development. Like for these companies, they have a really high standard, so they're always trying to push the boundaries of things and find elegant solutions. So I imagine it's exciting, but you have to work a lot. It's like I think it's a little bit of a hard life right now. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but so I think there's advantages and disadvantages. That's why I like doing something like that's why I like game design because uh, I think it's a lot more fun. Like what you do changes like really quickly. We got like a bug, so we'll have to look into that. I commented something wrong. But yeah, I like being a game designer because like it's a lot more fun. Like everything's changing. You get to train people and like it's fun making games and you're like making levels and designing new features and I don't know. To me, like that's why I like game design. I think it just if you liked coding, you would probably think it's not boring. But you have to be like really deep into programming to be able to know whether or not you're gonna like that. And me personally, like I'm not that into coding. I'm doing it and I do it like I'm doing it lightly kind of and I enjoy that, but I wouldn't be having a good time at like a big game studio as a game coder. That's a really good question though, True Elect. Are you the True Elect because you're like running for some kind of political office? Else. So let's go to the way this works in decoding and debugging web code like this is gonna say where the code is. So all this stuff is like just random stuff like files that I have missing, but this is saying at gameplaylayer.js, that's the file. Number 1238, there's a bug having to do with the else. I'm the True Elect because I'm actually the elect. Oh, you're actually the elect. I'm on my Facebook. My name is the Dylan because I'm the Dylan. It's not stressful though, because I'm just so awesome. But the True Elect. That's pretty funny. I like that name. Feel free to ask me more questions about game design and stuff. But yeah, I come from the background of like mobile game design. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, and actually, Facebook doesn't allow you to have the first name the. You are so funny. I can't tell if that's sarcastic or not, but I'm going to take it as a compliment. Facebook doesn't allow you to have the first name the, so I had to do the dash Dylan. Which I think is kind of unfair. What if your name is actually the? Then you can't have a Facebook with your actual name on it. Doesn't seem right. So 1238 is our bug. Ah. This should be just an if because we deleted everything above it. Let's save, refresh. Oh, yeah. So that's why I like mobile game design because my coding skill isn't great, but I can make mobile games. I have that. That's in my wheelhouse, and most of it's game design and the kind of games like Candy Crush are so easy to make in programming. Like anyone can make a Candy Crush clone in like a day if you're like an adept coder. So like it gives me room to like really explore and try to make a masterful game as best I can, Whereas if I was trying to make Halo, like a game like Halo or whatever game I liked growing up, then that takes a lot more time. So like maybe I can get to there eventually, but I'm starting with like smaller games that I know myself I can do, and maybe I can get the resources eventually to make those bigger games someday. But I think there's different ways to go about it. So I loaded it and there were no bugs, which is good. Let's see if the badges are gone, and they are, so there's no badges. This gray box should actually probably be bigger. It's probably okay for now, though. Because, okay, so it starts out small. Eventually we'll make it so it starts out big. So we technically do need to move everything down so that I know where I can put the home button box or whatever. Yeah, I'm just thinking about the flow of the UI. I should be a stamp comedian. So let's move everything down. So this is all in. Oof. I think it's all in gameplay layer. Let's see. I think it's called like Aimbox or something. What video game was it where people earn income from leveling up and selling things? Oh, like I think they did it in a lot of games. I didn't play World of Warcraft. I'm not too familiar, but I think they might have done it in there. I know people who did it in like Clash of Clans. I think they do that in like a good amount of games, but that not as much anymore. But yeah, I think you can make a lot of money on WoW doing that. I'm guessing I won't be able to make a lot of money in my game. Or people won't. Maybe I can. How old are you? I am 127. I'm actually 20. I think I'm 26. I'm not positive though. Yeah, aim box. Draw aim. Oh, I think it's called aim indicator. It's all coming back to me. Yeah, so aim indicator I think is bubble in the bubble layer. I'm not positive yet either. About your age or my age? I think your age. It's a question mark. I think there's probably some people that don't know their age out there, right? Who were born under mysterious circumstances. About anything. That's good. It's good to be, what's the word? Apprehensive about things. Don't take things on face value. You're a cynic. I think that's what it's called. So I'm gonna open bubble layer. I'm gonna check the other chats real fast. We're doing good. I wish the Periscope chats didn't go away so quickly. Oh nah. My mouse moves so fast. Yeah. So we're gonna be in the bubble layer. So this is the biggest file in the game, I'm assuming. Let's see how long it is. We have 10,000 lines of not so good code. So it's not too fun to code in here, but depending on what you're doing, it's actually not too bad. I've made these kinds of games. I've kind of made games like this in coding before, so I kind of knew how to structure everything with the data and everything. So we're looking for the aim indicator, which is in the bubble layer. Is the true elect in the United States or elsewhere? I like video games, but I dislike how you mostly never get anything tangible from them. Yeah, I think that's a really fair criticism. I think that's what I mentioned with Candy Crush. Like, one of the criticisms of many is that you can spend hundreds of dollars and the gameplay is totally vacuous and you don't get anything real. It's just more, you get farther in the game, which the game is infinite, so it doesn't matter. So like that's why I'm trying to be like community oriented, and I'm making a game where you can design your own levels at playemojipop.com, and then you can share them with the world, and so you can hone your game design skills. And a lot of the game takes place on streams like this one, where sometimes I'm going to be coding the game, other times I'm going to be designing levels and playing levels that people make in the game itself. So like I totally agree. Like I do. Yeah, I do wish they could benefit you in some way. Like I don't know. Also, like I think it'd be cool, like to make a game where like you can like if you get really into it, maybe you can I don't know buy merchandise or something like that's tangible in another way. If you, like it's something you're really invested in, like I think I want to sell shirts where you can like submit the level that you made and your level will appear on your shirt. That's like one thing I was thinking. Like something that like if you're invested in the game, like that would be cool to you. You know, not just spending money and it just going towards coins in the game that don't really do anything. You know. I used to make educational games too, so I'm kind of like I'm kind of a big proponent of that stuff. I made a game called Numbo Jumbo, but it's not on the app stores anymore because we sold it. I understand. Thank you. I thought it was crazy. Not a bad idea. Nice. Thanks for the feedback on that. The True Elect. Let me make sure I didn't skip aim indicator. So this is where I define the aim indicator. That's the gray box that you can aim within on the screen. And so yeah, we're gonna move everything down so that there's not a stupid white gap anymore. So this aim indicator, it's defined, the Y is defined here. So it's based off the shooter. So we actually don't have to worry about the aim indicator positioning because it just goes above where the shooter is. So we need to change the shooter Y. So let's do that. That's going to be a little more complicated. Let's find where the shooter is defined. I'm going to do shooter equals. Okay, so here's where it's defined. I'm saying we got a variable called this.shooter. So by saying this dot, I'm saying shooter is a part of this object that we've created. So the shooter variable is equal to a new bubble object. And so I have a bubble.js file right here that defines everything that a bubble needs to know to exist in the game. Like how it should behave, like how it works depending on its type, where it is, its position or whatever, its actions. So I'm going to create a new bubble, and here's all the things that it needs to know to create the bubble, including how big it is, and the color, and the type, and some other stuff. You just want to drop a few K. You just want me to drop a few K, and if I don't, when you please, you get... Let me read that again. You just want me to drop a few K. And, oh yeah, okay. And if I don't, when you please, you get angry with me. The only thing I'm not getting with your message is you start... But then if I drop too much K, you start to try to control me. Yes, you're kind of talking about like the game and like spending all this money in the game, I believe, right? Is that what you mean by K as in like money? Like thousands? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and so that's there's a known thing where if you can get someone to spend money once in the game or elsewhere or whatever, then the chances that they're gonna do it again like is like it gets way bigger because if you do something once, you've already jumped that hurdle of spending money on a game, and then they can target those players and really like exploit them to get them to spend money, and that's why like they have deals where like you can get all this stuff for like just 99 cents. They just need people to to spend money once, and then they're like hooked, and then they've done that step and they're gonna do it again. True, lol. Yeah. So with the way I'm gonna monetize this game, because I do need to make money, you know, like I can't just like be homeless making this game. Like it's gonna take resources, and maybe someday I could even like have other people work on it and pay them money. But my plan is to have Patreon where you have a monthly subscription, and so there's a limit to how much you can spend, like whether it's $10 or whatever it is, and it gets you a bunch of like boosters and stuff in the game. So instead of spending money per booster, you're just there's a maximum, which also preserves the integrity of the game a bit. And then maybe at certain tiers you get like shirts, like I was saying before, but having it be like a monthly thing, that's kind of like my goal, and unlocking community features and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it's important that us indie developers need to be thinking about monetization. We need to be thinking about how to realistically make money, but to do it in a way that's inspired by what the big developers are doing, but doing it in a way that's like better and like healthier and that benefits players. So the idea of making it all go through Patreon is that they're spending money instead of it going to the profits and like making people rich. All the money is going back into the game through the Patreon. So my idea is like they're basically funding the game, and that it's, I don't know, I think that's gonna be like, it's gonna be totally community oriented. I don't think shirts are that worthwhile unless the art is done by a great artist or something. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I made a couple shirts myself, just to have some for my videos, and yeah, they don't look that great. But I think it'd be cool if like players make their own level and then they want to have a shirt with their level on it. I think that could be something that people might want, and correct me if I'm wrong, because at least if they're invested in the game. And they could also have like a code on the back, so like you could scan it with your phone and like play their level. Just giving options, not being negative. Yeah, totally. I think it makes sense though, and I'm like nowhere near that level yet or anything. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Totally makes sense though. I'm totally open to all feedback, even if people think like the game sucks or whatever. Like I totally respect their opinion. You know, like everyone has their perspective, but I think what you're saying makes sense. I'm in the bubble layer. I like coding on the stream. It's been fun. It's kind of nice to chat while I'm coding or whatever, doing monotonous stuff. And like sometimes I'll switch to like, I have this like level editor, and we'll like make levels together, and I'll do lessons, or I'll play levels from the community. Like I'd love the True Elect if you could like follow me on Twitch, YouTube, or whatever. Like all my social media is in my game. If you go to playmojipop.com, there's a button that shows you can join the Discord. You seem like someone that I'd love to like communicate more with in the future, or future streams or whatever. Like I want people to like follow my journey, you know. Oh, True Elect is following. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to like building a community. Oh my god, why is the code not showing? Okay. Whew. I'm really looking forward to like building a community with everybody. I want to like help raise other people too, like connect everyone who like wants to make indie game. Like there's other communities for that too and stuff, but like I don't know, I think we could do something different. Feel free to give me any more opinions about the game or the stream or whatever. I love ideas. So this bubble shooters, we gotta move the shooter down. Let's find where the shooter's defined. I lost it. Oops. Okay. So instead of being at bubble start height, it's gonna be at 0. Oh, bubble start height. Where is that defined? So this is where we set where everything starts on the screen. So we just need to lower that. We're making a big UI update here. I had no intention of doing this, but I like to listen to the chatters, and Mattman from the chat made the suggestion I thought was really good, and I think it could immediately improve the game in a significant way. So I'm just gonna do that. So I'm saying bubble start height is wherever the bubble layers. Oh. So, okay, I'm kind of confused by this, but let's just try this. Let's lower this by 2. I think we just lower it that amount. I think that was the height. Yeah, so I was confused there because I was thinking maybe the screen is actually the UI. I thought it was starting at 0, but maybe it's starting above here, but I don't think it is. Let's see. Hopefully it's just everything looks perfect. It's probably not what's gonna happen. Yeah, and I also really want to I want to stream games while I'm coding. So like I want to have like Fall Guys on, and like once an hour I'll play a Fall Guys session or something while I'm making like a Fall Guys like feature in my game or something. You know, like I have a lot of like really cool ideas, I think. Okay, so we move this down. Maybe it should go down. Let's see what happens if it goes down to 0. How low does that go? So I thought everything was connected to the shooter, but that's not the case. The aim stuff went down. The puzzle went down itself too, which is good that that's happening automatically. And the Q thing went down. Just that this label didn't go down. Okay. So we saved. Let's refresh it again. I want to fix what like this whatever's crashing the stream from time to time. It crashes every like 2 hours. Like I want to be able to stream all day and not lose that, you know. Okay, so we have to move these buttons down and the label down. So I'm trying to figure out where that even is. Q label, is it probably in the bubble layer? Q label. Oops, let me make sure I got all my chats open. Yeah. Oops, I spelled that wrong. So a lot of time I spend in the search box trying to find stuff. I think I would have called it Q label. Or maybe it's moves left label. Oh. And this slot machine thing, this is supposed to show the streak the player's on. They can either be at a streak of 1, 2, or 3. And each streak has a bigger slot machine. So we're also going to have to fix where this is positioned. Okay. So this looks right. I need to move this label down. Let's see if it's in the game. It's probably in the gameplay layer. Is it called Q label? Is it called moves left label? I bet it is. No, let's try all of them for these labels. Okay. It's not going to be here. Let me just make sure. Yes, I'm planning on streaming Monday, not Monday. I'm streaming Tuesday through Friday. On YouTube and Twitch. I'm going to be developing the game, doing level design. I also upload videos on YouTube almost every day. So it's probably in gameplay. Let's look at the new labels. So to make a new label, you do new label. Oh, new cc.label. Yeah, so if anyone's watching, feel free to leave me comments of the game or suggestions. You can play the game at playemojipop.com. In fact, it's probably something I should have. Image. Oops. Want to make sure this is here. This is where you can play my game, and you can make your own levels and submit them, and I'll play them live. If anyone ever has a level that they made in the game, comment the link to it in the chats, and I would love to play it live and give you feedback. So this is like going to be like the game. I'm like the master game developer in this stream, so I'm making the game. And then whenever one of my player level designers has a game as a level for me to play, I'll play it live and give them feedback, and we'll like learn from their level, and like we'll improve their level, and so we're kind of just working on all aspects of the game all at once and in a community facing way. So I think this is gonna be really fun. Oh man, stretch. So I'm looking for new labels. I'm looking for where the label is that says the number of moves that is left. So it's not here. Could it be in the bubble layer? Yes, it is. So it's called World Moves label. That's why I couldn't find it. And so its Y is 3. So because it's in the bubble layer, I think that bubble layer is higher up, I guess. So maybe the gameplay layer. Oops. That was a mistake. So the gameplay layer, we need to look at where the bubble layer is created, and I think the Y positioning on that is wrong. So I need to reorganize this desk real fast. I'm gonna be streaming till 5 o'clock, so we still got a couple hours to code. I want to see if I can fix most of this UI redesign that was suggested by the chat. Bubble layer, so we need to look at where its Y position is set. So it's down below here. So it's set at 0. So it is at the bottom. Is it possible the gameplay layer is set to be... Oh, that's probably what's happening. So, oh no, so gameplay layer, it's set to be at 0 at the Y position. They're all set to be 0. So these are the different tabs. So that's right. Maybe it's the main container. Oh, yeah. So let's look for where we define inner container layer. Inner content layer, okay. So it's set to be at bottom UI height. And we got rid of the bottom UI layer, so we can set to 0. And now everything will be wrong in a different way. Let's see what happens. Yeah, other things I want to do on the stream include, like, I want to go through, like, the game dev forums on Reddit or whatnot. Okay, so look, yeah, everything's a little bit messed up now. So this label is in the right place now. That's what we were trying to do, and these buttons are in a good place. But now everything's kind of off the screen because we shifted everything down, and also that messed up where our puzzle's positioned as well. I think that's because of its height. There, so we can get rid of the bottom UI height. So it should be taller, and that should fix the puzzle at least. It's taking a while to refresh for some reason. Probably because I'm streaming and everything on it, I guess. So yeah, you can play this game at playmojipop.com. Make your own levels, send them in. You can share them on social media with just one hit of the button, and everyone in the world can play them. Okay, there we go. I think my mic is loud enough. Testing. I have this scene where I can see all the chats. It's really fun talking to True Elect and Mattman and Ozone today. Seem really positive and fun to chat about game design. Okay, so our puzzle's fixed. Look how much we can see now. That's awesome. But we do need to fix these emojis which are off the board, which you can't even see because of the emoji pop thing. Yeah, so we need to make these higher. So let's go to our bubble layer. And actually, we're gonna, yeah, so when we shift these bubbles up, this puzzle's gonna shift up a bit. So it's not gonna be this much on the screen. So let's go to, where bubble layer is defined. So it's defined to start at 0, 0. Which I think is fine. Oops. Almost spilled my water. Oops. So bubble layer starting at 0, 0. Do I need to force it to start at bubble height? I think bubble height is this dot width over 24 times. Okay, that's a silly way of writing that, but whatever. Okay, yeah, that's not right. I'm wondering, so I had the move count below the emoji originally, I think, but that kind of just takes up more room, and it should really be, oh, the slot machine's off the freaking screen now. So that, also that just moved up the label, so yeah, that's not what we want to do. I need to listen to some music or I'm gonna go crazy. I'm curious to see when this stream's gonna die out. It'd be cool if it could last 3 hours. So we need to go to bubble layer, and we need to see where this is defined. I need to see what it looks like again. So it's this dot shooter, and where I'm setting it equal to something. So this is where to find the bubble. It starts at this dot start height. So let's see what that does. What if I did times 2? What if I set bubble start height to be the right? Yeah, that's what I need to do. I need to change this dot bubble start height so that everything changes based on this. So it's saying it starts at 0. That's why it's starting at 0. So I need to make it start. I don't know. Will that change where the label is though? So I need to change that separately maybe. Do, 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 do. Okay, this looks good. So the emojis are in their right spot. We can see the slot machine and the label. Buttons are on the bottom. So this is going to be the main screen you see now when you log into the game once I upload it to the game at playmojipop.com. So that's the first step. We also, of course, need to add the home button, which I guess will go here. But we don't have to add it right away because once you run out of moves, you'll go automatically back into the home already, I think. Yeah. So let's just put a home button down there for now, like a mock home button. Since everyone loves the UI buttons that I make. Quickly. Alright. So I'm gonna do this. I'm trying to figure out what layer I'm gonna put the button in. It's gotta be in the gameplay layer, because that's this whole thing here. It shouldn't be in the bubble layer because it only needs to appear in the gameplay layer, so for that reason it goes in the gameplay layer. And we're gonna put it so that we're gonna make it so it's the distance left over here. I think that makes sense. So let's see where I put those boosters. These orange things are boosters, so I'm going to see where those are defined so we can get the height that's left to us after. Oh, actually, that's probably... Maybe I'm defining the booster counts. Maybe I'm defining the boosters in the bubble layer. Let's see. I think it's called booster A or something. Yeah. So I'm defining them in the bubble layer. Right here in the world. So after I create the bubble layer, that's when I need to I need to see where the boosters are placed, and then I need to place a home button above it. So let's go to gameplay. So this is where I define it and add it. So I guess this is a good place for it, where we're going to put the home button. So say if I'll zoom in. If this dot, no, not if. Let's create a home button. So this dot home button equals new cc dot sprite. So I'm making a sprite. That's what this does. Every time you need to make a sprite, you just do this. And I have a variable somewhere in resource.js. I have a file where it lists all of the names of pictures and what the source of the image is. So I have one called play BG. That's like a green blank button. So this dot home button dot set scale. I haven't done this in a few weeks, so it's all coming back to me all of a sudden. So we need to set the scale of the home button because we have this big button or whatever. We need to decide how big it is on the screen. So we're going to do that by creating a variable first that detects the height that we have available to us. So we only have this space right here to make the home button. So the bottom of the aim indicator to the top of the booster. So the height. So let's just find the top of the booster first. Booster top y equals this dot bubble layer dot booster a dot y. And let's look at it really fast. So when I define booster A, its origin is 0, 0. So when I get the y of it, I'm getting the bottom of it. So I need to say I need to get y plus this dot bubble layer dot booster a dot height. But the height is the height of the whole. Oh, wait, actually, yeah, the height, because it's an object. Cool. So that's gonna get me the top of the booster. Now let's get the bottom of the aim box. Aim box bottom y equals this dot bubble layer, and in bubble layer there's an aim indicator. And we just have to get its y to get its bottom. Aim indicator dot y, and so our height is going to be var home height equals the top minus the bottom times, we're going to do 95% of that because we want a little bit of a gap at the bottom of the top. So the scale, we did that because we need to set the scale of the button. So to do that, home height, that's how high we want it to be, and to convert that, so to convert the scale, we take the height that we want to be. I did that wrong. So it should be it should be home height. That's the height divided by what it currently is, which is this dot home button dot height. So we divide it by its height and multiply it by the height it should be, and that gives us its scale. It's a little complicated, but it's not too hard once you understand. This home button. So now we need to set its positioning, its attributes that involve position. So we're going to set its x, its y, its anchor x, and oops, I left my chats closed there, so I'm back on. And anchor y. And then we're going to add it to the scene. This dot add child is how we add an object to the scene. This dot home button. And we need to fill in where it is. So its y is going to be home height times 0.025, which is the gap, because we left 0.05 out. So we're gonna, that's how high it's going to be above the button, how much room there is. And it's going to be that plus booster top y. And actually we're gonna have to add y here because it's within the booster is within the bubble layer, so I'm gonna add the y of that, even though I think it's 0, right? Anyway, anchor x 0, I guess. For now, 0. So that's gonna be the anchor. Like, is it in the center where we're measuring 0, 0, or is it in the bottom left? So we're now in the bottom left. So the X for the home button. So let's look at the screen again. Actually, maybe we shouldn't get Y and just set it to be the middle of the booster B. So X is gonna be 0.5. Anchor X. It's gonna be in the middle, and we're gonna set it to be this dot bubble layer dot booster B, which is the middle one, dot x plus that booster's width times its, oh yeah, it's just its width, over 2. So that's going to be the center of it. The center of the home button is going to be the center of the bomb booster. And we added that. Oh yeah, one more thing. Oops, it's a little too small. We need to only do this. We need, am I doing that? Yeah, we need to only do this if this is a certain, if this is only like the main mode. Like we don't want to, oh wait, action gameplay. Yeah, I think we're good. Alright, I overthought that. Let's just try it. So for right, there should be a green, like a little button thing that's perfectly placed down there. Loading the game. Alright, so it's a little messed up actually. It looks upside down. We'll figure out what happened there. So I think the button's upside down and it's too low. So it's like in the negatives or something weird happened there. Let's figure that out. So home button is here. I'll zoom in for you. So it's all right here. So the booster top. I'm just gonna delete this bubble layer.y and just in case that's messing it up for some reason first, before we look too much into it. Feel free to ask me any questions about the game or whatever. It's my first time doing a stream, like a full game dev stream. Want to make sure everything's still running smoothly. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so it's still messed up. Yeah, so I thought that was 0. So for it's the Y that's messed up. Is the X correct? X is right. It's perfectly placed in the middle of these boosters. Let's see. Booster top Y. That looks correct. Home height. Anchor Y0. Let me make sure. Let's look at booster A again. Oh wait. It's up here. Yeah, it's definitely 0, 0. Booster top Y, which is the top of the booster. And the booster is an object, so I don't have to worry about the scale. Plus home height. I think the home height is right because the scaling was right. Home height times 0.025. Let's see what happens if I just get rid of this part. So this should make it start without a gap. So just to like isolate where the problem's coming from, you know? I'm probably not gonna get many viewers because I had to restart the stream, but that's okay. I'm just kind of practicing for now anyway, and I'm working on the game anyway. It's not like I'm not being productive. Okay. So yeah, it's definitely the booster top Y that's messing this up. What if it was 0? Would that work? I guess I could share the... say I don't want to like... I'd share the stream in more places, but I don't want to keep sharing it in the same channels, you know? And my headphones keep cutting out. What is going on? Um, so that's weird. I set it to be 0 and it's not even on the screen. Why? Oh. Do 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 do. Something weird is happening because this button is like inverted. I don't understand. There's nothing with the X. The X is fine. What if I just set it to be this dot bubble layer dot aim indicator dot y? So that should start it at where the aim indicator is starting. But I'm guessing that's not what's going to happen. Yeah, so this weekend I'm going to take a... Oh, what? So it should be starting at where it is, but starting below. So I'm going to see what happens when... I had an idea. So I'm going to try adding whatever the Y component of bubble layer is. So maybe that is throwing me off or something. And maybe this button is just I thought it was upside down, but maybe it's not. maybe it's just a bad button. You'd think the shadow would be on the bottom. So that doesn't change anything. Because it's 0 anyway, it wouldn't matter. So weird. My headphones aren't connecting. Dang it. Okay, yes, I'm not sure what's going on here. I might just kind of move on for now. It's going to be some kind of home button. It's going to look a lot better than this eventually. Let's just see if we can program like the input so that when we hit it, we go out to a home page. So to do that, let's make the home page actually. So we're gonna do File, New. Actually, no. I'm gonna do it through the file system, is what I usually do. So let me go into the source. And I'm going to go to the core UI. That's where I keep all the core UI stuff. And I'm going to take, let's see. I guess inner content layer. Doesn't really matter. Copy. Paste. Gonna rename it. And it's now going to be home layer. So now let's go ahead and open up home layer in the code. So this is what I do every time I create a new file. Source core UI home, and we're gonna change the name to home layer, of course. And we're gonna get rid of almost everything else we can imagine. Yeah, let's get rid of everything, I think, except for the shell. So we're kind of defining a class, and everything in here I copied over from some other layer, so we don't need any of it. There's probably a more efficient way to do this, but it's not too big of a file. It's more of a container. I'm gonna keep pose within. That's not even that good of a function. Okay. Delete all this. Oops. So this is the constructor where we construct the class, the layer, and it has a width and height. Of course, we'll leave that, but not the other stuff. For we'll probably need editor data too. Never mind. Okay, so we'll include the width and height. That's essential for naming this, for defining this everything on here that's going in the home layer. We'll also need editor data, which is like the user data that we load from the database. We'll probably need that to like see how far they are and if they have moves to play and stuff. And we need access to the database so we can make changes if anything happens, I guess. So this is the home layer, and we're gonna need to add it to our project.json. Which is here. No. That's an After Effects file. Why is that in there? Looking for a project. Not Coco's project. Let me make sure I got all my chats open. I do. Yeah, so this is my first coding stream, so I'm getting used to like programming while talking. It must be that. Why does it say it's an After Effects file? It's confusing me. Okay, yeah. So this is our project.json where we store all of our files, and they're all like alphabetically ordered. And in core UI is where we have our home layer. So I'll add it to the list here. Core UI home layer.js. That's the file. And so these are the files that get loaded at the start. Let's also, while we're here, create the home buttons that we're gonna need. I think I'm gonna create a different home button for each thing just to make it easier, and maybe because then I can add special features to them and make it a little easier to code and work on in the future. So I'm gonna create another new file, and again I do that. I forget why I did. Oh yeah, it has to do with the workspace, but I've been doing it recently by just copying and pasting old files. And feel free to ask me any questions about my game, or anything else, or what I'm doing. Make a game called Emoji Pop, and you can design your own levels in it. And so I'm kind of working on the UI right now based on chat feedback. So I'm going to go to my source and gonna copy and paste this home layer since it's nice and short. And I'm gonna rename this home button. Let's say home world button. Home button, home campaign button. And I can open that up. I'm using Aptana to edit. I'm gonna need the project again, so I'm gonna open that. I don't know why I closed that. Projects. And I'm also gonna open up the home button. Oops. It's under source, core UI, home button, home campaign button. So I need to change the name to home campaign button. And I don't need to know the editor data or the database. Feel free to message at me anything in any of the chats. I'm live right now on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope on Twitter. So this is the construction for the home campaign button, and I'm going to add it to our projects so that its file gets read. Home campaign button. So if you're just tuning in, what I'm doing right now is I am changing my UI. So when you load the game, you're kind of thrown into like usually there should be a puzzle here. You're thrown into the game right away, and people were saying that the UI is kind of cluttered, and I agree with that in a lot of ways. So what I'm doing is I took all of these buttons out, and I'm going to make a home screen to show off all the features so they're not tucked away in this bottom UI layer anymore. Oops. So instead of having all these like level editor, like these huge features tucked away and just seeing all this cluttered stuff, I'm gonna make this home screen something like this a little bit, and it'll show the main game. It'll show like the main campaign, and then it'll also show next to it the level editor. Those are the two big features. And then beneath it, I'll show events and like the top featured levels that creators make at playemojipop.com. I can do like fun little things like that. So that's what I'm doing right now. And I think it'll be a more community-oriented like home screen. I think it'll just be good in a lot of ways. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm gonna get back to it. So I added that to the project.json, and this is the terminal where I run and load the game from and everything. This is where I can interact with the Cocos engine to run the game and stuff like that. So I'm gonna stop running it. So I have to stop running the game. True Effect says, emoji, do you believe or know the universe and everything in it is coded like the Matrix? Yes, I do. I actually do believe that the world's a simulation of a sort, right? If you go back to the Big Bang, if you believe in the Big Bang, you can and you believe in evolution, then if you knew the rules of the universe from the start of it at its inception at the Big Bang, you could predict its very end. So you can believe the universe is simulated, but based on the truth that the whole thing was predictable from the very start, like it's just mechanically like a simulation. So yeah, to me, I totally agree. The world is a simulation. Everything is coded in a way. So yeah, that's a great question. I always love asking that question in other people's chats. It's funny to have someone ask me. I'm glad you asked me that. Do you agree as well? I'm wondering. So I'm gonna clear the cache because whenever we add new files, we have to like uh, we have to clear the cache, otherwise it'll be operating under the old files still. Interesting. Yeah, so it's called determinism. It's the idea that there's no such thing as free will. Even me doing this in this moment in space and time was predicted trillions of years ago or whatever at the beginning of the Big Bang. I think things are definitely coded slash programmed. Yeah, and we have like, it's crazy how we have no idea how things are like beyond, you know? So yeah, I agree with that. Like, yeah. Right, yep. It's kind of a weird way to look at the world. It's like fun to think through all the ramifications of that perspective, you know? Like, a lot of people don't like to believe that because it kind of relinquishes, like, they feel like they're not in control anymore, but like, I think it just changes your perspective on the world kind of a bit. It's fun to talk about for sure. So I'm gonna run the game. So this is the command used to run the game. It's cocos run, and then -esh for the source, and I do the file, the folder where everything is, and the -p means for the web platform instead of iOS or Android or whatever. So you feel like everything that happens is predestined. Yes. Even like me doing like this, literally everything. And some people say like, oh, what about chaos theory, you know, and like quantum, according to quantum mechanics, like they say that some things like there's chance involved with things, but I think that's just because we don't understand the underlying logic behind those things, you know. And that's what I've heard some scientists say too. Why is it not running? You're very intelligent. Thank you. I think you're intelligent too. It's always fun having these conversations because some people, it's, you won't know what people think about this stuff. To me, at least, yeah, it makes sense. It's objective. Like at a workplace, we never talked about any of this kind of stuff, and one time it kind of just came up naturally, and it was surprising to know what people really believed in this stuff, and then some people were like so opposed to it. Like, it's a fun conversation to have with people. Some people like, well, their minds will be blown, like they've never considered that as a possibility. So if you can give evidence to make them convince them that it's a possibility, like it really kind of messes with their worldview, I think, a bit. Okay, why is it not loading? It's going super slow all of a sudden. I think it's like a combination of me streaming and browsers and stuff. Yeah, it's not something I like think about all the time though, of course. You have to like live your life like a person, you know, but yeah, I don't know, you can get really abstract the way you talk about that kind of stuff. Right, I can see that. Yeah, certain people, I think certain people, they would go crazy. It also changes the way you think about morality, because people say like, oh, like if everything's predestined, then you're saying like it's not really someone's fault if they commit some like crazy crime, if they kill 1 million people or whatever it is. Like you're saying that they were always predestined to do that, and so you could look at it like that. And so I view like punishing crimes like that as like a deterrent. I don't know, like I have people, no one's in control of their own destiny to a degree, you know, so you have to have some compassion for everybody, you know, even people who are doing horrible things, like that's just the path that they were put on in a way, but you can't act like, you can't forgive them for that reason, because then everyone would do that, you know. So I see it more of practical, it's a practical thing, not a revengeful thing to punish people, you know. And yeah, it gives you kind of like some like, I can see how, I don't know, it gives you like some empathy towards people, because if I was in their shoes, then I would do the same thing, you know. So it's like an uncomfortable way to think about like life and evil, and we all have that same possibility of doing that if we were born in a slightly different position. Okay, this is insane. Why is the game not working? Let me just try it again. Okay. It opens. This is so weird. Is something wrong with the internet? Do you know who Right, I understand. Nice. Have you ever heard of Carl Jung? Carl Jung is in Jung. He's like someone that I think has a lot of similar. Because once you go to determinism, there's nothing really more insane than that, and the simulation theory and all that stuff. But like, Carl Jung has these theories about like the inner workings of our mind that I think are similarly mind blowing. Yes, yeah, you have heard about him. I have a lot more to learn about him, but he's like my next like fascination or whatever. I guess I'm just gonna keep refreshing it. Oh my god. Did I define project.json wrong? Maybe I did. I put a period here instead of a comma, and there's no bug error or anything. Okay, at least that's comforting knowing that I'm not insane. Yeah, it's cool that I can code and I can just talk about determinism and stuff in the chat. Feel free to ask me anything about the game. You can play it at playmojipop.com. You can make your own levels. I'm working on it with the community as we speak. Someone that watches my stream called Mattman PS2, I believe, he kind of had this idea to change the UI because it was so cluttered before, and it's not something I'd really thought about too much. It's still not working. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of updating the UI. I've only heard of his name, but can't remember what he was mainly about. Yeah, so like part of his thing is that like everyone has like a shadow. Like when we're in our heads, we're thinking and like we think this is who we are when we're awake and like the way we think and everything. But like 80% of us is like under the surface, and it forces us to do things without us realizing, and it's what makes us dream certain things. It's like our unconsciousness is trying to like get out of our heads almost and like present itself to us. And so like I can like I don't know, since I've been reading this stuff, I can like feel it in me like, oh, I can like you can kind of discover your unconscious. And I like went so long without even thinking about it, and now I can like kind of feel it a little bit, like, and I can kind of understand the concepts, and like you kind of start seeing how it motivates you. So it's, I don't know, it's really trippy stuff. And he did a lot of other stuff too, obviously. So let me just make sure the names are the same, are correct. Home campaign button. That is spelled the same, yes. Home campaign button equals CC out layer. Maybe it'll tell me something in the freaking bugs. Oops, not settings. Developer tools. Okay, there's a problem. Index 43. I'm thinking, oh yeah, so it's this. I think it's that period. I think I just have to clear the cache one more time and it should work. I'm using the Cocos.js engine. What is the subconscious aim? I don't even know. I think it's different for each person. Like, I think it's different for each person. Like, if there's things in our lives that we're neglecting, the subconscious aim is to like to change that. Like, so if we're being lazy in a certain way and our unconscious is like freaking out about that, it'll like do things to our behavior to like make us go on the right path, kind of. And so that can have all weird. If we're shamed about something, then our subconsciousness will make us do things that like I don't know, that kind of like shame things maybe that we're uncomfortable with about ourselves, you know. That's another thing that it does. It kind of protects us from our own ego or something. But I'm not the most educated on that stuff. Okay, did I clear the cache? No. Clear the cache, I mean. So I'm gonna close it. More tools, clear browser data. Is there? I don't even know how to clear the browser data in here. It should be under tools. Save page, cast media, pin taskbar, launch taskbar, browse task manager, developer tools. Screw it, let's just try to run it again. If not, I need to find the thing. I turned my computer off by accident for a moment before he started speaking, but yeah, so it's kind of about like, it's different for each person, because if there's things that you've been like, if people around you tell you like certain things are bad, but like you like it's part of you, if you're in a society where you're part of you is shamed, but you're like that's who you are, then you'll like your subconscious will do things to uh project more shame onto it than is normal in order to protect yourself, kind of. Does that make sense? Or if you're neglecting certain things in your life, your subconscious will be freaking out about it even if you're ignoring it in your head. And so you might have dreams, or you may act out in certain ways, or might have behavioral problems because your subconscious is trying to snap you out of it and to make you do the things that you're neglecting or whatever it is. I think there's a lot of things like that, kind of. Like if you're really lonely or something, then like your subconscious, and you're like kind of like ignoring it, then your subconscious will kind of like do something, like you'll have certain dreams or like feelings that are like, I don't know. It's a lot of people, they don't have control over their unconscious, and it ends up hurting other people. I understand mainly the second example. Yeah, I think that example makes more sense. Like I think what I was trying to say is like sometimes you end up hurting people because you end up like it kind of is what leads you to being a bully when you're young. Is like you have all these personal problems, and like you don't want to like be mean, but sometimes you act out against certain people because like I don't know, lost train of thought. So it's working okay. So I have my newly defined stuff. So now I'm gonna. But what's about the first one was shaming. So like yeah, I didn't want to get too into specifics, but like one example that I've heard is that like if you're in a society like that's homophobic, you're okay. I understand to some extent. Okay, cool. So like if you're in a society that where like gay people are really frowned upon or whatever, and let's say you're gay, then like you might react out more against. You might be more homophobic because in your unconscious, it's not like you're trying to be homophobic, but unconsciously like you're like really afraid people will find out something about you, and so it makes you act more homophobic, and that can make you do bad things to people. So like, and like sometimes people do that consciously, but sometimes it happens unconsciously, and not even just with stuff like that, like just in general. Like if something about you that's internal is hated, whether it's an ideology or a belief, like your religion or whatever it is, like or whatever it is, like it could turn you into like make you more of a bully against that thing, and like hurt people to prove to the world that that's not you or something. But yeah, that's all getting very like, I don't know, just specific and stuff. I'm gonna go to. So I have the home button in the gameplay layer. I get you. Cool. I'm glad you get me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking. Interesting. Yeah, curious what you think about anything like that. I'm gonna go to where the inputs are done, where the mouse inputs are. You mentioned that it's called the shadow earlier. Yeah, there's like been a lot of musicians that have made songs and stuff about the shadow that are inspired by Carl Jung. Like Tool made a song, and a lot of other art about that. I've heard the term, but yeah. So it's not. It's kind of is the dark side of man, but it's more like the dark side of the moon. The dark side of the moon isn't really evil. It's just unknown because you can't see it. So the shadow is something. There's maybe evil within it for sure. Like we have the evil of the most evil person potentially in us. But the shadow is really just the thing that you can't really see. It's like most of your personality and etc. is like this thing that you're not interacting with. It's the real you, kind of. And so we have this ego that's constantly telling us like, oh, my head is in control, like I'm in control, everything I'm doing is in control. Like that's called our ego. And like if you like let go of that ego a little bit, then you realize like there's this other thing inside you, and it comes out. You can the way I started noticing is within dreams. I was noticing certain things that my dreams were kind of trying to tell me. Even though it sounds a little crazy, like it makes sense given like I don't know. You can I don't know. It's kind of complicated to get into. Yeah, but there's a lot of good books about that stuff. I've been so busy cutting this game that I haven't had much time to go into those interests too deep. So yeah, where am I inputting stuff? So it should be like on touch. On touch end is where I'm going to hit the button. So when the touch ends on the gameplay layer, this is going to be fired. This event, this function. This is if the input's frozen, but it's not frozen. So this is if we're hitting the challenge star. That's not what we're doing. This is what happens if you hit the world streak box. That's not what we're doing. So we'll do another else if. And so if this dot pose within, if the person hit the home button. So this is how we check to see if someone pressed the home button. And when that happens, we're gonna, right now I'm just gonna print to the screen. I'm just gonna say like, as a placeholder, this is where we open home. Open. You said, True Alex says, you said that being a game dev programmer was time consuming. How many hours a week do they work? Well, they should work a normal job, but I think it does overlap a little bit into their personal lives. But if you work at a big studio, like if you're making these like huge games like Uncharted, like at these like, or Grand Theft Auto, if you're making like big games, like big AAA games or something, like I've heard they work tons of overtime and stuff like that. But like if you get a job at a smaller studio or like you work in mobile games, I don't think you have more than the average worker. But I think it depends on what kind of games you want to make. If you want to work at like Rockstar or whatever, like I think they work a lot of hours, like 10 to 12 hours, or maybe that's even conservative on sometimes. Like it seems like these companies burn out their employees a lot. So like when I was in school, we had people come to our class and they would tell us like, if you can, look for a job outside of games because it's actually kind of difficult and a lot of hours. And we were like, we're here to make games. Like, why are you telling us to get other jobs? Like, so I think it just depends on where you work, kind of. I think it's a lot better in mobile games though, and I think you can even make more money in mobile as well. Typo here. So if they hit the home button, how do I open up the home page? So where do I find the home button? Oh. So yeah, I need to think about this hierarchy stuff. So, okay, at least I'm just doing the log for now. Let's just test that out. So I'm going to open up the log on the side so we can see when that happens to make sure I'm doing it right. Yeah, but like a lot of people like work a lot of hours because they're so passionate about it too, So it's kind of hard to tell, is the studio overworking them or are they just really dedicated to their jobs and their passions. So is your game a mobile game in progress? Yes. So I released it online because I want to start building an audience around it, but it's definitely not complete. It's like a live game that I'm just going to keep expanding over the years. And I have some crazy features in mind. It's just going to keep growing. But it technically is live right now. So I'm always adding new features, but you can play it at playemojipop.com from your mobile phone or computer. And I'm adding a new emoji and new world every Monday. So it definitely is in progress. Like new content every Mondays. But also in these streams, I'm gonna be working on brand new. Yeah, I've heard people have told me that it looks like a when they open the game, it looks like a virus or something. So I need to figure out how to make it look a little less like a virus, less like a scam. I may want to change how it looks. Yeah, so that's definitely something like a. I did all the art is totally free from Twitter. These are real world. Everything in the game you see, almost everything is from real world emojis that I didn't have to like mess with or anything besides the animations. So like this is the way it looks now, but yeah, I'm totally open to like working with artists in the future. I'm sure we could do something really unique. But yeah, in general, like without the art, I feel like there's ways I can make it look less virusy, like for now at least. But for starters, I think changing this UI to be less cluttered will like be a start in a good direction. Because I got a lot of feedback about the UI and how it needs to be improved and stuff. So yeah. So if I hit this home button, it says there's an error. It's probably a typo. Right. Okay. Yeah. So I think that makes sense. Like it's out, but it's also still in development. And I really wanted to like get. So the coolest thing about the game is that you can make levels in it. So, whoops. Let me open up my game. So like the coolest thing about there's so many cool things about it I think, but ah, why is this messed up? Yeah, one of the cool things about it though is that you can make your own levels. So like the idea is like my players are really involved with they're really involved with the game's design because you can make your own levels and you can share them online and so like and I feature levels in the game itself and stuff like that. So I thought like you might as well release the game early and not only do players make levels that go in the game and get shared around and stuff, but they also can like be a part of the game's development. Yeah, sorry, I was kind of trying to open it. So let me show you. So this is the game, and if you hit this pencil button, then you have the level editor. And so using the emojis that you've unlocked in the game, you can use them to create your own levels. And the more emojis you unlock, the crazier, more intricate levels that you can create. And eventually, I'm gonna even have a logic system that allows you to like make like totally your own games within the bubble shooter. And so it's a great way to start getting exposed to game design without needing to have to code. And what's awesome is you can make a game, like a level in this game, you share it to Twitter, and then every single person in the world gets to play it. They don't need to install anything or create an account. They don't need to have a certain kind of hardware, so you're literally like making little games in Emoji Pop, and then you can share them for the whole world to play. And you can build a social media following if you can make cool enough levels, or you can like playtest other people's levels and give them feedback. So I'm really emphasizing like the game creation tool because each level is like its own game because the emojis are so unique and change the gameplay in so many different ways. So that's kind of that's like one of the big emphases of the game, and so that's part of the reason why I want to involve players in its development. It's like a totally community-based game about game design, and I want to like help raise other indie developers by like talking to them, communicating, and also like inspire aspiring designers. And I even use this game to teach like kids how to code, or not teach them how to code, teach them how to start designing levels and thinking about game design. Like I run like programs at youth schools and stuff like that. So I think it's really a great tool for people. If you even if you don't know how to code, you can make a level in like a minute, and you can share it with the whole world. And like it takes minutes, and you can watch my level design streams and my level design tutorials on YouTube, and you can learn like a lot. And so my first job in the games industry was as a level designer making these bubble shooter games. So my hope is that I can teach my players who invest in this game their time how to do this as a job someday, even as in the industry. You can get paid a good amount of money making these levels for a mobile game company. So I'm hoping like I can economically empower players. Like that potential is so cool. I think. Um, what was I doing? Oh yeah, there's a bug because it said convert to. It should be convert to. So now it's refresh. Good questions though. Thanks so much for interacting with me in the chat, True Elect. You definitely sound passionate about it. I do hope it works out the way you want. Me too. We'll see. Even if it doesn't work out exactly as I want it, I'm learning a ton, and I'm putting myself out there. And worst case scenario, like I can like set myself up for a job making these kinds of games with a little more agency than I had before. You know, now that I have experience. So yeah, but I think I can do it. I'm going to eventually release on the app stores, but it's not going to be this exact game. It's going to be like a casual version of it. How will you market it? So right now it's just all online. So I'm making videos and yeah, social media. I'm putting out videos on social media, like Facebook, Twitter, social media. I'm holding off on the app stores because I want to make money with Patreon, and I don't want Apple demanding a 30% of my revenue from like whether it's selling shirts on my website or whether it's subscriptions for getting boosters and stuff in the game. Even if it's all online, Apple would take that money from me. So what I'm doing is I'm pushing this game as just like a community-based game for free on the internet right now. And then eventually I'm going to release a different split-off version of the game for the app stores. So it'll be a lot like this game, but it'll be for a more casual audience. It's totally separate from the online game. And so then that'll have a whole different marketing push, less viral, hopefully more advertising to get people to play it on the app stores. And so by me building up this game online and maybe getting people to play it online once it's in a better spot, whether it's Let's Plays or streamers or interviews or whatever it is or whatever, any convention I go to, like I want to build it up as much as I can, and then that'll help me on the app stores, because releasing on the app stores doesn't do anything for someone alone. You need that push outside. If I just release a game in the app store, no one's going to play it without the marketing, you know? So I'm using this internet game to really start the marketing push, and it gives me like a... So even if this doesn't work out financially, I think the apps that I'm working on are going to be bigger for... And so this is like the healthiest version of the game. It's free, it's online. Do you work right now? Right now, no. I was working before the pandemic, but now I can't. I can't do what I was doing before. So I have enough money saved up though, and so I'm just giving this a shot for now. While like it's not a great time to looking for a new place to live and work and stuff. So I'm just focusing on Emoji Pop 24/7, making videos, working on the game, marketing it. And I'll probably work someday in the future, but it'd be cool if I could like get support on Patreon eventually once the game's better, once I get a community. But I'm just focused on making the game as good as possible right now. It's like I'm pretty lucky to be in this position. Previously, I was working though for these mobile game design companies in the industry, and I had a lot of fun there. But I ended up leaving for certain reasons, and now I can kind of like control my own destiny, you know. Thanks again for following me though. Like I really appreciate it. Like I'm just getting started, so those things mean a lot. So we should be able to hit the home button and trigger that log. True Elect says, I like that ambition and courage. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I feel like a lot of people can relate. Oops. I feel like a lot of people can relate on that sense. Like I think everyone has like their own ambitions and dreams, you know. So like, I think it's awesome when people support each other and like can see that same like pursuit or whatever. This is not the version of the game I wanted open. Yeah, it was kind of hard to walk away from the job though to do this. Like, you know, I was like making good money in a good position. I was climbing up, and so I think a lot of people were surprised that I stopped and did my own thing, and I think it was worth it because I think I'm learning so much more on my own than I could have learned working at a company like that anymore. So when I click the button, oh, it still says, did I not save it? Maybe I just didn't refresh it. Oh yeah, I didn't refresh it. Yeah, so it's gonna be exciting to see if I can connect with people. I'm 26, that's correct. It's gonna be exciting to see if I can connect with people online and build a following. I'm not sure. I've never done anything like this before, but I'm having a good time and like just gonna keep making the game and see what happens. It's been really fun to like chat with people while I work on the game. I'm gonna try to do this as often as possible. At least Tuesday through Friday, I'm gonna be doing these streams. Oh, interesting. When I hit the home button, why does this open? That's fine, but like, is that happening every time I do anything? Interesting. So anytime I let go, it opens the setting. So it's a good way of marketing the game if every time you hit a button, it opens up the marketing page, but it's probably a little heavy-handed, so I'm gonna fix that. Yeah, I'm 26. I don't know if that's young or old, like, not really sure. I guess that's young. I got my first job in the industry at like 22, like after college a little bit. I ended up getting like going through a crazy. It's young, lol, cool. I ended up going through a crazy experience. I got a job when I was still in college, and I was like driving to San Francisco 3 days a week, which is like a 2 hour drive, like there and then back. And I was going crazy to do this job, and it wasn't in gaming, so but I just needed a job after college. And then I graduated after working with them for months, and I finally graduated, and they kind of destroyed the end of my school because they didn't care about my classes. I just had to come to school, had to like answer emails during classes and stuff. And then a few weeks after I graduated, I like signed a lease on an apartment for a year in San Francisco, and so I could work and everything. And then last second they laid me off like a week after graduation, so I was on the hook for a year's worth of rent, and I didn't have a job, and I was just out of college. And the last second I got lucky to get a game design job as a game designer making levels, and then like everything has just been like smooth sailing from there, you know, and to some degree. Okay, why is the freaking okay settings layer, this should not be opening. I understand now. Yeah, I'm curious what true effect, what you do. You're interested in getting into games. I'm curious what you do, or like if it's gonna be easy for you to make that transition, because I think it's totally worth it if you're able to. You know, it's a lot easier for me to remember chat names than real names, so that's nice. Like when I teach classes in person, like I can never remember a single person's name, but everyone's got these like really catchy names, obviously, so it makes it a lot easier. Been thinking about doing some like tutorial like coding stuff, intro to game dev stuff in the stream. I used to make YouTube videos about that. Okay, so now it doesn't open the settings anymore, but nothing happens, so let's figure out what's going on. So this should be firing when they touch the home button, but it's not. This dot pose within, it should be pose within scaled. Pose within works for objects. Pose within scaled is a function I wrote that takes into account the scaling of the image. So because I'm checking to see if I clicked an image, it has to check to see, oh, like if it's within the scaled image. I don't know. Hard to explain. Refresh. Hopefully this works, and then I can work on transitioning to a home screen that will be blank for now, but then we'll build it out to be the regular home screen. So you're a designer. What do the duties, skills entail? Well, in the industry as a designer, at first, it was literally just making levels. I was working on a mobile puzzle game, so the designer duties were just making levels, and that involved like creating them with under certain parameters and restrictions, and then getting people to playtest them and responding to feedback. And then so the level creation was one duty, but also like managing live levels and analyzing their data. Like, so we'd get data that says how many people like won or lost, or where did they end up, and you have to analyze this data to decide like how you can improve the level or change the move counts to make it easier or harder. And then finally, once you have a little bit of experience, then you can start you start designing features to go in the game. So they could be obstacles or features like events and stuff. And so they're usually pretty simple, but you have to kind of like really specifically outline it all and document everything and coordinate with both artists and engineers to kind of see your vision through to the end. So those is what I would say that are the responsibilities of designers that I've worked as, you know. And then also like training, once you get to a certain point, you're like training people as well and coordinating that kind of stuff. But usually, I don't know, at my last job I ended up like coding a bunch of stuff, and so I ended up kind of becoming like a software AI engineer kind of on accident. So it's kind of up to each person really, like it depends on the team, but the first things I said, those are definitely the fundamentals, like content creation, content management, and then new features and the coordination of different departments. As the designer, you're kind of like, you have the vision and you have to like, the engineers and artists don't really know what they're doing, they're just making their things, so you have to like work with them, and that's the whole thing unto itself. You also like interview other people, like you have to like find the good people for teams kind of based on their interviews or whatever. That takes up a lot of time, surprisingly, and a lot of meetings that you have to attend. It's really fun though. I really love being a game designer, both in the industry and independently. So yeah, when I hit the button, nothing's happening. So I'm thinking something was already knew something was weird with this home button anyway, since it's not where it's supposed to. I bet you it thinks it's lower than it actually is or something. During the game development of Owlboy, I think a core programmer left, which led to the game taking a long time to be finished. Is there anything I can do to try to ensure that others commit to a project once hired? That's a really good question. Like, I think the best advice is like, you can't guarantee it, but like, you have to make sure that they're like, because obviously you're really invested in Owlboy or whatever, but you have to make sure that they're really invested in it as well. Obviously things happen in life, you know, but like, if they're personally invested, meaning they're not just getting a paycheck, but like if they get revenue once the game is done, if they get a slice of the profits, or if it's going to be good for their career or whatever it is, or if you allow them to be like, I don't know, at the forefront or whatever, however you can get them to be like attached to the project and its success, like I think that helps to make sure that you make sure that people are committed through to the end, because that makes sense. That it would stink if they walked out, but they probably wouldn't walk out if they got a little percentage of the profits or whatever. They'd be like, oh, I'm just gonna, you might as well just hang out until the end of the project, like, so at least you see them through to the end or whatever. I don't know. But like also just personally, if like just communication, if you can just, I don't know, make sure like, a lot of times I think, especially if you're working apart, like people will kind of go off in their own head in their own direction, and like just like talking to them and making sure everyone's aligned in the vision and everyone's hiring people who are passionate about the task and not just good at the skills that you need, as another way to make sure everyone's committed to the final product. So like that's my advice. I'm curious what you think about that. That's just kind of off the top of my head. This button isn't doing anything. True. Cool. True from the true elect. Nothing could be more truer. This is where we open a home. So what I could do is, let's just make sure we want, I'm using this .convert node space that converts the position to what it should be on the screen, but maybe I should just be using pose. So sometimes if something's not going right, I'll just try a couple different things that could be quick solutions to make sure I'm not missing something simple. I could also just threaten their families until the game is finished. You could lock them in your basement with a keyboard if you like. I guess that is the best advice. Threaten their families, their emotional well-being, like, true, their survival. That would probably be the best way, honestly. I think you're onto something. If you can get any blackmail on them, I've heard that's a good tactic. It sounds like you can make a game about this. or like a horror movie. I'm glad you think that's funny. LOL. The home button. Pose within scaled. I have a pose within scaled function, right? Yes, I do. Yeah, that's one thing though, like in this industry I feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like people move around a lot. Nice. Let me know if you have any opinions or feedback. That's one thing though, like people kind of move around a lot in games. It's like even in the industry, like sometimes we'd spend so long like training someone and then they would just leave like after we're done training them. It's like, okay, we gotta do it all over again. But it's chill. I love training people. That was fun. I feel like that's what I do now when I do level design streams and level design tutorials. I'm still like acting like the trainer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to output the position of both the pose and the position variable and of the home button position, and we're gonna see why it's not counting as a touch. Maybe we can figure out why the home button's acting all weird. These are the kind of problems I was talking about. Like I haven't coded in a while due to the burnout I was facing because I coded it for a long time straight through. It's like bad. And so now I'm a little bit rusty with some of this code, but I'll get around to it. I'm not acting weird, LOL. Nah. The world is predetermined, so there's no way anyone can do anything weird anyway. So this is where I'm gonna print out the positions, and we're gonna see. Let me print out the width and height as well. Width, and I'm gonna print out the home button width times its scale, heights plus this dot home button dot height times this dot home button dot scale. Save it, refresh. So it's going to output the position of the touch. Maybe I put this in the wrong place. We'll find out a lot by what happens here. I'm hoping by the end of this weekend we'll have this UI updated. That would be a really cool thing. Oh, there's a bug. 1133. Right here. Ah. Need to get rid of those comments. Save. Fresh. Yeah, so I think if I just keep doing these streams, it's gonna be really fun to like see how this game advances with everybody, you know, and how everyone's opinions change over time. Or I would love like because you can make levels in the game, and I would love for like once I'm more out there for a little longer, like it'd be cool if like when developing the game, if someone could just comment like, oh, I made this level, I could play it, and that could be like my break, and I can give feedback on the level, going back to making the game, you know. I've donated to so many, and it's always the same disappointing outcome. You've donated to so many games or cults? I forget what I was talking about that made you say that. Later. LOL. OMG. This is good, guys. When I click, nothing is happening. Wait. It might be because I turned off the comments. OMG. OMG. So I'm gonna open this in a different window because this will have like my app ID. I am grateful though. That's good. I don't think I've ever donated. rarely. So another screen I'm opening. Look at you. You're assuming right now. Shaking my head. That's why online is terrible. Thanks for engaging with this chat with me, True Elect. I would be smashing my head against the wall if I was trying to make this button work for hours on my own. So what I think I did is it's actually pretty funny. I made it so that I suppressed comments from on in the game from being put out on the web browser or whatever, but I think that's not allowing me to see what's going on. So I'm trying to figure out where that is. It's probably in my main file. Yes, it is. I think. Oh no, it's under project JSON. So I changed this to a 1, and now I'm gonna have to reset everything. So I'm gonna stop running the game, close, and I'm going to close this. Oh, I was gonna reset. I need to figure out how to reset the cache. Browser Task Manager? Nope. Microsoft Edge. Settings. I bet this is it. Do this somewhere else. Clear. Browser. Sync. Where is it? I have to really Google this. Where is clear browser cache in Microsoft Edge? Settings, privacy and services. There it is. Clearing it so we can restart. It's not always accurate. Up to you to determine, of course. So, and I do mistype frequently. I noticed that you think certain things from mistype. Oh, I think I'm misreading the chat. 1 second. Let me just run this real fast. Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to understand what you're talking about, and I do mistype frequently. I notice that's why online is terrible. I'm looking at you. You're saying things. I've donated so many. Oh, okay. Yeah, what are you talking about? What are you talking about donating to? I thought you meant games. And I do mistype frequently. I notice that you think certain things from mistype or from when I hit enter in chat. It's not always accurate. Up to you to determine, of course. Maybe I should just assume. It's more fun though, just assume whatever I believe is what you're saying, you know? Like, that's why I like when people mistype things, because I can just assume some absurdist thing that doesn't make any sense. I meant too many streamers. Oh, got it. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so I don't really stream much, so like, I don't even I've never supported a streamer. I'm kind of new to watching streams. Like, I'm watching more now to like get more like knowledge about it, but like, yeah, like, I don't know. I'm trying to like just make a great game and build a community. Like, I don't really care about like donations. I just care about like followers, so people are watching. I have people to talk to and people making levels. Like, I just want to make. To me, the value is in making this game as big as I can, and like that means way more than like donations. And so I don't think I would even like push like people donating to the stream. Like, to me, like it's all about the game. Like I want everything to go through the game, kind of, you know. I could see feeling like I'm always surprised when people spend like $5, $10, $20 in the stream chat. I'm always like, how do you convince people to do that? Like that's a lot of money. Like it's crazy. So I'm trying. Like it's not something that I would like. Definitely, I would definitely not like not ask that of people. Like it's an interesting conversation though. I'm curious like what makes people donate because like you want to help them out and stuff, but like I don't know. Some people donate a lot of money. Oh yeah, open the log. So yeah, the comments are working now. So let's see. I did this in gameplay layer. I wanted it to say this is where we open home whenever you hit that button. And it's not saying that at all. Cool. But it is printing out the position. So this is the position of at first when you come it's because you want attention, but after many years you learn Twitch. At first when you come it's because you want attention, but after many years you learn Twitch. Okay, I could see that. And because obviously some people make a really good business off of it. And yeah, right now I am obviously just looking for attention for the game and stuff like that, and community or whatever. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. I could see it being fun to do that. Yeah, like to learn to Twitch and to do that like full time and everything. Like this is my first time, so I'm not even sure if I have the right character. Like some people go like that one guy Randall who does game dev. Like he goes crazy and he has all these characters and it's this really like niche humor. I'm like whoa, like you're doing what I like you're doing me more than I could ever do it. So I feel like I have to like be someone different than them. You know, like I don't even know like what my like I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it would like be like to be like a Twitch streamer. Like is this like how do I improve from here? Like I don't know, like in terms of my personality or whatever, how to like I don't know how to do it in a way that gets people that want to come back, you know. I think having like a game that the whole thing is built around could be kind of cool. Like I have a cool character to my stream, like since there's a game and we can all like be a part of it or whatever. 11:05. I also want to start streaming like some games too, you know, like or maybe like I mentioned before, I would love to have a week where I'm trying to make some kind of like multiplayer mode that's inspired by Fall Guys, but as a bubble shooter. And then I could also have Fall Guys running, and I could be playing it, and then also working on the game at the same time, kinda. It'd just be like a kind of like a fun hangout / game dev kind of thing. Okay, yeah. So this is the position of the touch, 351.84. The position of the home button is 369.111. Are you? No, I'm not. I also like. I'm not gonna say some words because like I want everything to be said to be like somewhat child friendly. Like, I don't want to be like too much child friendly, but like I want to be kind of general audience. You know, like. So I'm gonna try not to curse. Like, although it would be way more fun if I did. You know, so I'm kind of torn about that. That's kind of a random question to ask me though. Am I coming across like that? I guess you're not a Twitch streamer unless someone asks you that question, right? Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out why the touch isn't going through. So if I do it in the middle, oh, it's because the X. I forgot that I made. I'm gonna have to do like a manual detection to see whether it's been hit. So I'll show you. So I need to detect if because the home button is centered. Oh, actually, what I could do instead, change my mind. I'm gonna go to where I define the home button. And I'm going to make it so that it starts at an origin of 0 because that's the only way we can make it so we can detect whether the touch is in there. Because the way the function works is I think it's assuming that the origin is at 0, 0. So what I'm going to do is, so this is the middle, so I'm going to subtract the x position by half of its width so it shifts over. And we can still have an anchor 0 of 0, 0. This dot home button dot width times this dot home button dot scale over 2. That's half of its width. So that shifts it over. So let's see if that's the reason why the touch isn't activating. That might be the reason. Just for the record, I'm going to be streaming Tuesday through Friday at the least in the afternoons, like today, like 11 or noon till 5 or whatever. But I'm also uploading all the time on YouTube and my social media. You can get that within my game. Later. I'm adding new content to the game every Monday. So this is gonna be like a big thing. Like it's gonna be big, guys. You're on the ground floor here. True Elect and Ozone and Matman PS2. Let's see, and it still doesn't work. So look. So it's saying the position is 446, 111, and my touch is 356, so it's to the left of it. So why is the position so far away? It's also saying the width is. It's saying the width and height are negative. That's the problem. So that's why it's upside down. Oh my god. So that's because of the scale. I haven't done this in a while, so I knew there was going to be some rustiness. The scale is... set scale. Just making sure I'm doing this right. Oh. I know why. This is a negative. I'm an idiot. Yeah, so first time streaming, first time back in the code. I knew I was going to make some silly mistakes. Oh man, this is going to change everything. So that fixes the problem. That's going to fix the problem we had earlier as well. Oh. Anyone have any fun Friday plans? Yeah, so now this is where I was actually trying to make it project. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to where it's defined, the home button. And I'm going to change its position. Back to where we had it before. Okay. I hit refresh, right? Oh no, it's not working. This Microsoft Edge is a weird browser. The way it reloads, it's not working. Cool, so we've been live for 3 hours in a row almost without breaking, so I'm glad that that's working. Okay, so the position's still a little off on the X, but from the Y it's good. So Y is booster top plus home height times 0.025. And the X is wrong. Oh, it's not. I'm subtracting its width. It should be the home button's width. I'm subtracting. Home button dot width times this dot home button dot scale. Okay, let's refresh. Oh my god. Did it stop working? It's no longer updating my camera. That's so weird. Looks like I'm just like zoned out. Okay, so now, oh, it's still not in the right position, but that's okay. Let's just make sure we can touch it so we can, like, next time we code, we'll make the functionality for going into the home screen. This is where we hope, this is where we open home. So that's where we're gonna program the next feature. And so now that I see that I'm not moving my screen, this is like a good time to take a break. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you The True Elect. Thank you Ozone. Thank you Mattman PS2. Thanks for, I think it was Paul on the Facebook chat earlier. Thanks for all your feedback. You've really helped me like pick a direction for what to work on right now. And so I'm not sure when I'm going to be streaming next. It could, my next official stream is on Tuesday, but I could stream before that, maybe over the weekend. So just make sure to follow, and I'm excited to keep working on the game. It's called playemojipop.com. I'm totally like a statue now. It looks hilarious, even though I'm moving. You can play it at playemojipop.com, and you can send me your features. You can send me the levels you create in the game. This is so funny. And so yeah, thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll see